Hello and welcome to the CBT Nugget product MySQL Database Administrator DBA2. My name is Tim Warner and I'm happy and grateful to be your instructor. Our agenda for this introductory nugget is as follows. First, I'm going to introduce you to the series. I'm going to give you a global bird's eye perspective of all of the nuggets in this series, how they work, how they fit together, and how you can best use them to fit your needs, whether you're studying for the MySQL Certification Series exams, or if you just want to learn more about MySQL administration. We're then going to deep dive into the MySQL certification program in particular. The program's undergone quite a bit of flux over the last year or so therefore you want to pay particular attention if you are in fact a MySQL certification candidate. Finally, I'll give you some exam strategy tips specific to the DBA2 exam. About the series. I've authored quite a few series for CBT Nuggets, and the basic way I go about doing it is the same. In other words, for a particular exam, I'll always go to the vendor's own website and review the exam objectives for that exam under consideration. I'll take that outline, point by point, and I'll use those exam objectives to construct my CBT Nugget product. The reason for that is twofold. One, I want to make sure that you, the exam certification candidate, have point-by-point coverage of every single exam objective. I want to ensure that you go into the exam room fully confident that you know all of those exam objectives. Number two, the vast majority, but not all vendors, are good educators as well as technology specialists. Therefore, their outlines are pretty cohesive, so you'll find that the technology through the outline builds on itself pretty well. And that is the case, in fact, with MySQL. So what you're seeing on this particular whiteboard is a 20-movie, or as we call it at CBT Nuggets, Nugget series dealing with the, as you know, DBA2 exam. We're on Nugget 1, Series Overview, and then we're just going to work our way through all the way to Nugget 20, Scaling Out MySQL. Now, some important questions. Can you just skip around willy-nilly throughout the 20 nuggets? Do you have to, or should you go from Nugget 1 all the way to 20? It's kind of a complicated question at this point. Let me explain. I've done quite a few series on MySQL for CBT Nugget. I've done one for the Certified MySQL Associate. We have one for the DBA1 exam. And now we're here for DBA2. Really, all three of these products form an ascending skill set. So if you were a brand new person to MySQL, I would formally recommend you start with the MySQL Associate skills, then go to the DBA1 skills, and then culminate with DBA2. The reason why I say that, friends, is because I have to make some assumptions. By the time we're at the DBA2 skill set, some of those assumptions are you have MySQL basics under your belts. You have the mechanics of the structured query language using select, insert, update, delete, create, alter, drop, and so on. You have those mechanics under your belt. Now at the associate level and even at DBA1, I do not take that for granted, and we review that stuff at a very basic, full-fledged level. Here at the DBA2 level, you'll see these are fairly advanced topics. Now that having been said, I still would formally recommend that you start with Nugget 1 and proceed sequentially, because as an instructor, I do tend to build upon what we've already learned. So we have two levels of skill building. We have skill building across products from the associate level to DBA1 to DBA2. And we also have skill building within each product, moving from nugget to nugget. So if you just skip around, you might find if you just start with Nugget 13, I'll be referring to things that we've done earlier in the course. Now, again, you can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you best practices. All right. So after the series overview, we're going to start with a consideration of identifiers and what those are and how those are working. We're going to look at some more programmatic aspects of MySQL using stored procedures and triggers, and then implementing those in a security context. Actually, security plays a large part of the DBA2 certification exam. You'll see we're going to deal with user account administration, 3 entire nuggets on MySQL security basics. We'll do a little bit on upgrade and some security considerations with it. And then really the second half of the course deals with optimization, diagnostics, and performance tuning. Therefore, I think you can see the general trend. DBA2 is, as I've said already a handful of times, a very specialized skill set indeed. Let's have a look at the MySQL certification tracks, shall we? I've pulled this information directly from the MySQL website, where we're going to visit live and in person in our first demo momentarily. For now, let's take a look at them. First, we're confronted with a brief alphabet soup of acronyms. And if you already hold any IT certifications, you're well familiar with acronyms because all IT certifications involve them. All right. First, we have the CMDev. This is the Certified MySQL Developer. Next, we have CMDBA. This is the money. This is what we're concerned with right here. The DBA2 exam, as you may or may not be aware, is one of the requirements for earning the CMDBA. In order to earn the CMDBA, the Certified MySQL Database Administrator, you have to pass 2 exams. You have to pass the DBA1 and the DBA2 exam. Now, you might be asking, where does the CMA, or the Certified MySQL Associate, fit in? Do you have to pass the associate exam to become a Certified MySQL DBA? The answer to that, friends, is no, surprisingly. MySQL considers the associate credential to be a standalone title intended to be just kind of an entry-level generalist specialization for MySQL administrators or even potentially developers. Another thing you need to be aware of, friends, and this is what's stated right here on this line, is that all MySQL certs except the CMA are version specific. Therefore, the CMA deals with general MySQL technology that is not tied to a particular version. All right. Now, by contrast, if you're pursuing the DBA, you're looking at 5.0, 5.1. Now, a big difference actually between MySQL 5.1 certification and 5.0 is whether you're doing a computer-based test or a practical exam, okay? And that's where my little alpha and beta symbols are fitting in here. The alpha, as you see down below, I'm giving you a heads up that I've created a nugget series for CBT Nuggets for that course or for that certification track. And the beta symbol, I've thrown in that annotation to let you know that this is a practical exam only. And what that means, if you're familiar, for instance, with the Cisco Certified Internetwork Engineer, or CCIE, or the Red Hat Certified Engineer, I think I messed that up. Red Hat Certified Engineer, where you go into a lab for your exam and you're actually asked to install and configure live servers for your exam instead of answering multiple choice questions. That is how the CMDBA is handled for version 5.1. And as of this recording, in October 2009, the only way you can do this is if you sign up for an authorized MySQL DBA class. At the conclusion of the training, you can take your practical exam and earn your DBA that way. So for some candidates, that'll work out really well. If you're more of a traditionalist and you'd prefer to earn your certification taking a traditional computer-based test, then you're looking at MySQL 5.0, and that's what this certification series at CBT Nuggets is all about. Now, the difference between MySQL 5.0, what we're learning in this Nugget series, is completely portable to 5.1, and even the current beta of MySQL as of this recording is MySQL 5.4. Please don't think, because this CBT Nuggets is tied to MySQL 5 certification, that we're somehow out of date. MySQL is definitely, as an open source project, not something that's going to go stale. And I'll show you how that works. As long as you're plugged into the documentation and somewhat plugged into the right spots on the web, or at the very least at the MySQL website, you will be completely plugged into the very latest and greatest news with MySQL. So don't worry about that. Now then, specifically about the DBA2 exam, what do you need to know? First of all, as I've already taught you, you need both the DBA1 and the 2 tests to earn your DBA certification. It's not just the one. Second, and this is important, it used to be you could register for your exams, your MySQL exams, through either Pearson VUE or Prometric. Prometric and Pearson VUE are the 2 main registrars for all IT certification exam vendors in the world, or just about all, I should say. However, over the last several months in 2009, the good folks at MySQL, Sun, and now Oracle have decided to do an exclusive partnership with Prometric. Their website is prometric.com. So therefore, you can only register for your DBA2 exam through Prometric. Now, one thing that's kind of a remnant or just a factor of the confusion in Oracle's purchase of MySQL and their purchase of Sun and that whole mix-up is that you're going to get some conflicting information depending upon which website you visit. If you go to mysql.com, you'll see the exam fee listed as $200 USD. If you go to the Prometric website, you'll see the exam fee listed as $300 USD. Now, for most of us, that's a significant difference. Therefore, I would recommend you call Prometric instead of just registering on their website and telling the attendant, look, this exam is advertised on the MySQL website for $200, and make sure you get the lower rate. Specifically on the exam, we're dealing with 70 multiple choice questions over 90 minutes. In my opinion, that's pretty liberal, isn't it? That gives you much more than a minute per question. This is a multiple choice computer-based test. You can actually take a 10-question sample on the MySQL site. It'll give you a little bit of a flavor of what to expect. And that flavor, if I can sum it up in one word, is picky. You need to know some picky details, unfortunately, about MySQL in order to pass the exam. The good news is that you're in capable hands, and if you stay close to me during this training, I will throw up exam alerts. Maybe I shouldn't use that term, throw up. I will post exam alerts throughout the training, posting asterisk symbols whenever we come across a concept that I feel is particularly likely to show up on your exam. How's that sound? In our first practical demo of this series, we're going to take a brief tour of the MySQL certification site. You should become masters of the MySQL.com site, period, as you become proficient with MySQL Server software. In particular, though, if you're a certification candidate, you need to master their certification site. And then we'll briefly visit the Prometric registration site, and I'll get you started on how to register for your MySQL exams there, because, quite frankly, it's not intuitively obvious how that works. Alrighty then, here we are at the MySQL homepage, and I'm going to take you right into the certification area of said homepage. At first blush, you might think, okay, where is the certification stuff? There's a couple places to go. Depending upon how the page is structured, I noticed that here, this is not normally here, this Get Started with the MySQL training link, at least the last time I visited it wasn't. What I normally instruct people to do if they've never been to the site is you can hit under MySQL.com tab, there's a Services link, and under Services, we have Training and Certification. And this takes you to a site that you should definitely bookmark. It's mysql.com/training. And you'll notice on the left-hand side, this is our helpful navigation bar. Under Training and Certification, we have it divided into Certification, Curriculum Paths, Course Catalog, Schedule, Delivery Options. And the bottom line here, friends, just to tell you what's going on, is that Sun Training, who evidently, even though Oracle has bought this company, Sun Training is still evidently responsible for MySQL certification, and they're also responsible for classroom training. Because the MySQL certification and training team makes their money not only from selling the certification exams, but they also make money from offering instructor-led training. So that is just a heads up. All right, so let's click the certification link, and that takes us to the certification page. This again is a page that you should have bookmarked. It's the mysql.com/certification page. And you notice that this takes us to kind of a subsection of their navigation bar. And under here, in my opinion, the most important link is the candidate guide, which I'll show you in just a second. In the meantime, you notice that we have a banner advertisement advertising the performance-based testing for the MySQL 5.1 certification. I've given you a heads up about that so you know how that works, all right? Tells us here also that beginning on July 31st, that MySQL exams are no longer being delivered via Pearson VUE, and then if you have any questions, you should contact Sun Learning at certification@sun.com. This is an important email address for you to jot down, especially with regard to that $200 USD vis-a-vis $300 vis-a-vis registration thing that I told you about a couple minutes ago. All right, let's click Candidate Guide. As I said, the Candidate Guide is probably the most important document here because it gives you everything you wanted to know about the MySQL certification. It gives you your benefits to individuals and companies. It gives you your registration, your exam prices, information on beta exams, and then really the meat and potatoes is it breaks down each track here. CMA, there's the certified developer, there's the CMDBA 5.1, and then finally we get to where we are, the Certified MySQL Database Administrator. Let's click that. Tells us why should we certify, what knowledge is tested, and then it gives us the exam contents. There's the DBA1 skill set. Let's go past that. And then we come to our current exam. Now, what you should see here is not a surprise at all. The exam contents, this exam outline here, upgrade-related security issues, securing the server, user management, stored routines, optimizing queries. All of this stuff should look extremely familiar because a few minutes ago when I showed you the nugget outline for this course, all of these titles are pretty much, they're not lifted verbatim word for word, but the concepts are exactly the same because, as I told you, I built these nuggets, not Starship, we built the city, but I built these nuggets based on these exam contents on this page. Okay? So that's what we've got going on with that. This is your home base, so to speak, as far as getting your MySQL certification information directly from the horse's mouth, directly from MySQL. And there's a lot of misinformation, muddled information out there on the internet. For that matter, and let me bring up another tab to show you this. If you run a Google search, let's say you were looking for the Prometric web page to register for your MySQL exam, and if you run a logical, I think it's a logical search string, MySQL Prometric, instead of getting the first result being the correct page at Prometric.com, you get all of this stuff. Check this out. Advertisements for MySQL vouchers that are probably way out of date. You get confusing posts about Prometric exam numbers being changed now that the exams are going from Pearson VUE to Prometric. In fact, I don't even see a Prometric link on this first page here at Google. That's why I wanted to take you directly to the Prometric homepage. When it comes time for you to register for your MySQL exam, you might want to go directly to Prometric.com. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And let me show you how it works. You'll want to, in all likelihood, go here with a high-fidelity browser like Internet Explorer. And by high fidelity meaning you're allowing all the bling and all the script to run because they've got some of that stuff running on their site. I myself am a Firefox user with no script and FlashBlock and all of that. But with Prometric, you'll want to allow that stuff to run. And under here, for test takers, you'll see the exams that Prometric offers are broken into industry categories. We're interested in IT, of course, so we'll open this drop-down, and then it gives us an alphabetized list of its vendors. Now, this is where it gets hairy and where you want to be careful. There's not an entry for MySQL. We don't want to go to Oracle. We actually want to go to Sun. Remember, Sun is who's responsible for MySQL certification. So we're going to go down a little bit further, Sun Microsystems. You click that link, and then it takes us to prometric.com/Sun, and this is Sun Microsystems page at prometric.com. And here we can just click Start to enter the Sun Microsystems area. And here you can just, this is a pretty standardized page actually at Prometric. You can just look up a test site near you. You can actually schedule an appointment, or what we'll do now is just go into exam fees just to look up an exam. First you have to specify what country you're in, then the state. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. The client will automatically be highlighted, and then their program. The program is going to be Sun Microsystems. We'll click Next. We have to agree to their certification policies. We'll click Next. And then we'll scroll down until we get to the 310 series exams. 310-811 Sun Certified MySQL 5.0 Database Administrator Part 2. $300 USD. Well, that flies in the face of what's on the website. Back here at the candidate guide, if you look under the exam prices, US $200. You see what I'm saying? So you definitely want to look into that to resolve those discrepancies. In this introductory nugget, I introduced the series to you, and I hope you have a good idea of what to expect from front to back. Next, we looked at the MySQL certification program, and I hope, again, if you are a MySQL certification candidate, you're secure in where you need to be pointed to accomplish your goal. And if you're not a MySQL certification candidate yet, I kind of hope by the end of this series you will be. And third and finally, tied to this second objective, I hope you're crystal clear on what to expect from the DBA2 exam. Now that we're ready, why don't we fasten our conceptual seatbelts, put on our thinking caps, and let's get ready to do some serious learning. I hope that this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.